So when you were first dropping your product, how many different manufacturers did you have to go through before they finally accepted your terms? 'Cause I'm sure it probably was not easy.
Um, no, it wasn't easy. I think I went through like 4 or 5 that were okay, but I just didn't want to do it until, because it's like saying like, hey man, it's like when you buy a house for like, I mean, in America, like what's an average house? 200 grand, 250 grand. Like you won't be like, hey, I want a house, but I don't want the title of the house. Like no, like you want to see paperwork that you own the house, right? You wouldn't accept that. So if I'm dropping 250, like $250,000 on this and my company, like I want to know that this is legit. So for me, it's just not non-negotiable. Like if a company says, I don't want to give you a certificate of analysis, I'm like, dude, that's like me buying your house and you not giving me your paperwork that I own it. Like, and I'm giving you $250,000. That's a small run. I mean, you're running at least 40, 50K if you're scaling, if not more. I mean, that's what we run on average. We're paying 80 to 90 or so thousand just every month, just on product. So there's no way I would not accept that. So it was just a non-negotiable. And then one manufacturer was like, yeah, we'll do it. And of course, as you're ordering more, you build more leverage. And one of the things I started doing is I connect supplement companies with manufacturers, and I make introductions all the time. So those manufacturers know, like, if I go, a lot of other companies go, and they don't want that. So you bring in leverage, you negotiate, and it's just making it non-negotiable.
So, Prady, I give you a lot of props on that, but for Nick, how many people do you really think companies in general, what percentage maybe really do test the products like Prady and other people? I shouldn't say other people, but a lot of people, they don't, I'm sure of it.
I would say...
So it's single percentages?
Between 5 and 10%. To be honest. Yeah. There was an issue with BPI where they actually got their products tested from company X, and then another company sent their products to company Y to get tested, and the two tests didn't match, and then company Y ended up buying company X. Crazy how that worked out. But even you're still going to have the larger companies. They're going to have their products tested. The big companies, they're going to do it. Most of the time, the smaller companies, which there's a lot more smaller companies than there are large companies, for the financial aspect of it, they can't afford to do it. So, I mean, it's definitely under 10% of the companies out there, I would say, that actually get third-party tested after they're manufactured.
Yeah, okay. And for Justin, I'm going to put this out here, too. I know we're kind of spitfiring a lot of this, but obviously we're fans of Apollon Nutrition. And I know the big talk right now is their 730 milligram caffeine. I think 730.
720.
720. I mean, between us all here, again, I like the company, but when's enough? I mean, is that just too much?
Yeah, that's a good question. I know we talk a lot about this. My first gut reaction to it is always, you know what? As long as they disclose it,
yes,
then you know what? This is America. It's not illegal. As long as they're telling you what you're buying, you're making the conscious effort. It's on you to educate yourself or to read that label and realize how much caffeine you're getting. You can see, of course, if people bring up the other side of the coin, where is that sort of gray area? But I stay out of that because that's not my role, is to decide where that threshold is and what becomes your responsibility or what becomes over the top. What my focus is, and our focus just as a group, is being transparent, meeting label claims, because then we can work with that. It's like you have prop blended products all the time that could perhaps contain much more caffeine than that,
right,
but nobody knows. That stuff that's just a different conversation for me. It's like, if they're going to disclose it, my stance is, then that's fine. People should be able to buy what they want to buy. But that is tough. It's not just a super simple answer.
Because I think to a point, there's some people that maybe like Nick, that
the one other thing is like we talk about ingredient synergy. Take Chemex. You can make a 350 milligram caffeine product feel about 3 grams of caffeine. If you're putting other caffeine amplifiers and all these other ingredients on top of, you're stacking these stimulants and stimulant amplifiers together, you can make it even. I mean, 720 caffeine might feel like a walk in the park compared to some of these other ones. So it's like that's where stuff gets kind of weird too, where sometimes you just can't look at that number and go, you know what I mean, and make a judgment.
Yeah. See, because for someone like Nick, that might just barely move the needle on you. I know that would send me over the deep end, but I think sometimes it's almost like a game with supplement companies is who can come out with the higher product right now.
Well, I mean, I'm good friends with Rob. He makes both spectrums. He has a very low 200 milligram caffeine pre-workout, and then this is the shit hit the fan 720 milligram caffeine pre-workout. Now, for me, probably 2 to 3 days a week, I go to the gym on 723 milligrams of caffeine. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
Not for a fucking gorilla.
No, but it's one of those situations where he's very upfront. He believes in full transparency. Everything that's on the label is on the label. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. Then you have other companies that prop blend it, and I've seen prop blended tests that came back at 1,200 milligrams of caffeine. I've seen 700 milligrams of caffeine and 5 milligrams of alpha-yohimbine, which, I mean, that'll kill somebody. There's a new pre-workout that somebody sent me a panel for. It's like 10 milligrams of alpha-yohimbine. Got DMHA in it, DMAA in it. It's like 500 milligrams of caffeine.
Yep.
That's literally just a heart attack waiting. That would kill me. Yep. I can take a god awful amount of stims, and that would probably kill me right in the middle of my workout. You know. So, is the 720 milligrams safe? For some people, yes. For a very small percentage of the population, but he's very upfront about it. He doesn't. Yes. He doesn't lie about it. This is what it is, you know. And it's catering to a very small market, but that's why he has his other products, which cater to the much more larger
average
scale
person.
Yeah. You know, so he likes to have that upper echelon pushed as much as possible.
Yep. But
he likes to walk on the bottom as well, and this way he can keep everybody in between happy as well. So it's, you know, he doesn't lie about it. He's very upfront about it. He doesn't hide the numbers. I mean, there's the Biohack. Their pre-workout had 600 milligrams of caffeine, but it doesn't hit you like 600 milligrams of caffeine. It's all, if you do it right, you can get a high dose that won't kill you, but you can also, like Justin said, get a low dose that'll put you in cardiac arrest. So, you know, it's all about formulating it properly and testing it and seeing how it works.
What are your thoughts, Prady, on caffeine in general, though? Do you think, obviously, society we're too over-caffeinated? Because there's no caffeine in your product, correct? Or am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, no, there's no caffeine in the product. And then it was just because I think we take so much caffeine. I mean, even I don't really use any I don't use pre-workouts, to be frank. But just with coffee, I think stuff I drink, I mean, I'm getting hundreds of milligrams just naturally through just coffee and tea and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you know, my focus has been a little different. I know I'm not really focused heavily on the sports nutrition market. It was more the everyday person. And so the everyday person is already using enough caffeine and they're not looking like, I wouldn't want to, like one of our really large segments of people that are actually buying on Amazon are like working moms. Like that's a huge thing. Like I wouldn't want to give them like 700 milligrams of caffeine. Yeah. It would just be too much. So it's just also dependent on who you're targeting. Are you targeting like hardcore, you know, people that want to train and want to, you know, stim junkies, or who's your audience? And so that's really that, to answer your question, who's your audience and who are you marketing to? And I think that's really where it's at for us. No, it was really about, we want to help people become more productive, and caffeine doesn't really do that. It will, you know, make you feel good for a little bit, and then it kind of wears down. That's just how the ingredient works. But also knowing and cognizant of the fact that people use caffeine all the time in a variety of foods. I mean, and more normal people that are not into health and fitness, they eat chocolate, they drink a lot of soda, they drink, you know, you get enough caffeine from that. So I have nothing against it. I'm all for it, but it really depends on if you're a supplement company, who are you marketing to, you know?
What made you get into such a unique category, or make a product for such a unique category?
It's very selfish for myself, man.
Okay.
Yeah, the answer was like, I wanted something because I was going to school and I was running a bunch of companies, and I was like, I need something that it's just a pre-workout that lasts a little bit longer than any other pre-workout. And then I got into nootropics. I read about, I was actually doing a lot of stimulants, and one time I'm actually not a really good responder to them. It's sometimes too strong for me. And I remember at one point, I think I had like, I don't know, people say it doesn't exist, but I think I had like adrenal fatigue or some shit. I literally crashed badly, went to the doctor, and I realized like I got to stop with this shit. It's like too much. So I Googled I was Googling all this type of biohacking stuff, and I found out like the Russians were using this like a really cool substance called nootropics, like racetams, and were given to astronauts. And during the Cold War, I was like, dude, this is the shit. This was early, like many years ago, before nootropics were on the scene. And I was like, I'm gonna order the stuff. So started ordering a lot of the raws and using it myself. Me and my buddy went to BU. We have a really big research facility, and so my buddy worked at the chem lab, and he had basically he was doing research for a pharmaceutical company, really well funded. And at night we would bring out all the nootropic ingredients that I would order, and we put them in capsules and try them out. And yeah, that's pretty much how I got into nootropics. And everyone at school was asking, Prady, what the hell are you doing, man? Like you never sleep. That was kind of my brand. And I started giving people the stuff that I was making, and they're like, they love it. And that's how kind of Azoth was born. Then I went to manufacture and I created a company. But that's why it was totally I think it's kind of unfair. I think like supplements and sports nutrition and stuff, they only have performance for athletes. But I just don't believe. I'm a bodybuilder myself, and that's great. But like, I'm not the only one that goes hard, man. Like, there's like people that are teachers, that are like people that are serving, people that just do so many cool things. I work in real estate, and we have construction workers. They're killing it too. So why is there no performance enhancing supplements for people who just like work and have a 9 to 5? Like, who is to say they're not elite level? Like, they're elite level at what they do. So for me, it was like, I want to create a supplement for them, and that's where nootropics kind of came in.
So what are your thoughts on Noopept?
I like it. I used to use Azoth 1.0 had Noopept in it. I'm a big fan. The thing is, like, you gotta be careful with the dosage, and it doesn't always work for a lot of people, and it goes up and down. Where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I like Noopept. I like phenylpiracetam, but both of them you can't use anymore, so legally by the FDA. So we had to take them out. Yeah. But both of them were in Azoth version 1.0. So
did you have a lot of inventory to move when they kind of banned the Noopept, or were you able to get rid of it all before reformulating?
Yeah, right when actually before the FDA, and FDA is still kind of a gray market on it. PayPal banned it, and like the payment system companies, like they were processing payments, banned it first. So it's actually a really good time for supplement companies, because before the FDA will ban something, the payment vendors will start banning it. So you always have enough time. So what will happen is you'll get a letter from Stripe or from PayPal, and they're like, we don't want you to sell this anymore. And then you'll go on the FDA site, and it's not banned yet. And so that gives you enough time to still sell and move product if you can have a payment vendor that will accept you. So we were, PayPal sent us a letter, it's like, don't sell this anymore. And so we had enough time before it was like really, before you couldn't sell it anymore. And I think it's still in like the gray area, but actually the payment vendors, I think they do supplement companies a huge favor now, because if you get a letter from the FDA now, like, you've been really negligent. It's like you've gotten at least 10 letters before, because there's no way you can sell it through any payment vendor. Gotcha.
So Justin, what have you seen this week? What else have you heard? I mean, we've got a couple of minutes here. Let's air the waves here.
What have I seen? What have I seen about what?
Just heard, seen. I mean, as things went down here.
I gotta be totally honest with you. I focus on us. I really do. Like, I know I get a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, did you see this? Did you see this?" I don't do industry news. I don't do people within the industry. I just honestly don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about the people that are out there looking for answers and looking to us for help. And that's my only focus. Like, so we just stick there. I sort of like am in a cocoon when it comes to certain things, because so much of that stuff is just noise and it's distractions, and it takes us away from the focus for what we're trying to do. Yep. So I'm like this, like tunnel vision. So I'm not really good in that area.
Hey, Nick, I guess question for you. You any closer to finding a manufacturer? Or am I ripping the Band-Aid there?
Working. Just keep pouring salt in the wound there. Hopefully soon. Fingers crossed. I can't really cross my fingers, but there we go. Fingers crossed.
So, guys, it's been a good conversation. I don't know if there's anything else that has come up, anything else that we want to talk about. And Prady, obviously, I appreciate your time and, obviously learning more about you and the company.
Yeah. I just want to say quickly, I hope, I know, like, I'm in the supplement industry, like I always say, and because with supplement Snoop kind of involved in here, more supplement companies, and more about the news in the industry. But I hope that more supplement companies can work together. Like, I feel a lot of times I get messages and from owners or other, and they have like gossip about other companies, and it's just like, man, like I think a lot of us we have the same problems, and we're in it together to a large part. And so I think if we stick together and we can do some, and it sounds cliche, but you can do some good shit. I mean, I follow the pharma industry, and during the Obama era, Obama wanted to raise more revenue, and what the pharma industry did, they put together about $10 billion, all of them together, and they paid a certain amount because it would help all their interests. And by doing that, they kept certain prices low, and they basically ensured there was no regulation. Now, you can say whatever that's good or bad, but basically what I'm trying to say is if supplement companies, like, we all have certain problems. Like, someone needs a manufacturer, someone needs a label guy. I help companies all the time, every week. Someone needs insurance quotes. You can help each other out, and it's not like, don't take it like people think there's a competition. It's like there's really not. Like, there is no intellectual property in our industry. Like, there's none. I'm an attorney, and like that's crazy. Like, you can turn around a label and you can see what's in there. So if someone wants to take your manufacturer or your label, like, what does it matter? People send me NDAs. I want to tell you who my manufacturer is. Like, dude, I don't care. Like, what am I supposed? Like, what will I do with the name of your manufacturer, right? So, but what you can do, what will help, is if you are willing to leverage each other's help. I know one of the guys that I work closely with is Mark Burton from Iron Brothers. We sometimes have to ship stuff overseas, and in order to reduce costs, we work together and we ship our stuff together, and it reduces costs for us and it reduces costs for the other side. Why not? Like, what's wrong with that? And so I think if more supplement companies work together, I think it's going to be better for the industry and also for customers. Big win, and we have a long ways to go for that, but you can look at the pharma industry and other industries where they all band together, one lobbying effort that goes into, hey, we have a problem, this is how we're going to solve it. Look at our lobbying efforts in DC. It's laughable. We are not funded. There's not even $1 million that's going in there. And I whenever I go to DC for that stuff, I've been 2 years in a row. I didn't go this year, but it's pretty laughable. We have no presence there. That's because we're more concerned with, hey, like, Ghost did this or this company did that. I mean, it's not going to help our industry,
Yeah, I think what I mentioned before, just me being not a company owner, me being new to the industry, I think a lot of what I've noticed is people have been in this industry for maybe too long. They've insulated themselves from what reality kind of is. And when I see the things going on with the FDA, and they're sort of like snooping around a little bit more, and then you have people, they're so focused on each other in this. I made the analogy last time. It's like you see, like, the kids, right? The kids are just messing around, and they're messing around in the house. And what does dad do? Illogically, sometimes just comes through and just makes these sweeping judgments. Like, you guys can't get your shit together. It's all gone. You're all fucked, right? So it's like sometimes I'm like, guys, don't you you see you're hurting yourselves? Like, if we continue to do this where they're testing products and it's not coming out right, and you're using these ingredients and you're spitting in the face of the FDA, you're just hurting yourselves, like, ultimately. Like, and that's just me being on the outside. As a consumer, I want to see the health of the supplement industry, because I think there's real advantage. Like, there's supplements, there's ingredients that are legal that can really help people if you put them in the right hands. And so we're gonna let that go because I'm pissed because my market share and this person has a label that somewhat looks like mine. It's just fucking stupid to me. I'm like, guys, let's just calm it down, right? Because if you don't start working together, we're not going to have anything left. That's just the way I see it. You can kind of like feel it coming. You know what I mean?
But who's mandating that? It was a big pharma that's talking to FDA saying, look, this product that you're pulling out of the ground, this natural ingredient, is helping people more than my Pfizer product. We need to get rid of that. That's always going to be sometimes the dilemma. If a nutraceutical is helping somebody, instead of sending them to a Pfizer product or a Merck pharmaceutical product, it's always that fine line, though.
No, for sure. But that part we can't control, right?
Yeah, but who's there for us? Like, who's our voice in DC? Like, we all know different owners. Justin and I have behind the subs, right? We have different owners on. Who's the voice for the supplement industry? No, I don't even know who I can. Maybe Jared Wheat to some degree, I don't know, but he's more concerned with high tech, and I get that. But like, who is the voice for the stuff? We have no lobbying effort, so we can complain about big pharma, but like there's a ton of money in supplements. Like, we're $1 billion+ industry. That's nuts. If you look, the lobbying effort is like it's shit, and that's because we're more concerned with like bringing each other down. Let's send someone a letter because they have something that might hurt me, like shit like that. Like, all the legal fees we're spending, like, we could spend that to get together and put a lobbying effort straight to DC, and then we will have our voices heard because we're $1 billion+ industry. And states like Georgia, New York, Oklahoma, that have big manufacturing facilities where all of our products get made. like they'll suffer if the supplement companies go, and they should help us in return because we are such a large force. But it doesn't seem like it. If you look at, if you're an insider, like and if you're an outsider, you look at, you're like, dude, is this really $1 billion plus industry? It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's like a few $100,000 maybe at most. People get surprised that when I work with attorneys, they're like, oh, this is how much revenue you're making. I would never get, there's that much money in supplements. I'm like, dude, we're a tiny company. Think about like the big guys are making. They're making 50 times, 100 times that, but it just doesn't seem like it because you look at the antics of CEOs. I see them on IGTV or like bashing other companies. I've never seen the CEO of Pfizer or of Merck or any of these big companies behave like that. I never see Jeff go out on like his Instagram live. He might send nude pics to chicks, but he's not doing that on IG live, right? So the point that I'm trying to say is like that doesn't help the industry. But we're such a large force, so we should make it known.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think Jared is definitely Jared Week. He's definitely the industry savior when it comes to the FDA. You know, but it's like Justin was saying, the problem we run into is Jared is over here literally fighting the federal government over a product called DMAA. He is fighting the federal government. He is spending tens of millions of dollars over one ingredient to fight the government. Meanwhile, the FDA says, you can't use this. Okay, so he doesn't use it. But then you turn around and you see all these other companies, the smaller guys, where they're still using DMAA. And that's the problem you run into because, you know, Big Papa over there says, well, you know, we told you can't do it until we get it figured out in court. Since you want to keep doing it, now I'm going to bend you over my knee and spank you. And that's how we lose our toys, you know. And it's the simplest of things. Like, this is the federal government of the United States of America. You don't want to piss them off. And we have a few companies that are very good at trying to piss off the federal government of the United States of America. They have a never-ending money pot when it comes to, we want to arrest you and take you to court. That money pot just keeps growing. Yep. So, you know, if you stop doing very stupid things like that, maybe they won't be so harsh and start banning every ingredient that we get to use. But you have to learn to, you know, respect them to an extent. Some of the stuff they do is really stupid. But, you know, they're still the government and they still regulate us. So you kind of got to follow what they're saying. And if you're not willing to do that, this is what ends up happening. 2019 has been a very fun year with the FDA saying, nope, 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 yeah. Nope. You know, because they want to piss and moan and groan over one ingredient that we don't even need anyways. So, you know.
So, Prady, what's next for you in Azoth? Are you going to be a one product company, or do you have anything else you're thinking about to share with listeners?
Yeah, we're actually not thinking about expanding our product line. What we are thinking about and what we're investing in is just focusing more on the customer. So the post-purchase, I've always been a big proponent of that. I know Justin is a big proponent of that as well with Supplement Snoop. But like I always said, you know, like people want you to come to the store. Everyone's nice. Buy my product. Then they send you email. You get a call. Get a voicemails, but then when you've bought, no one talks to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
It don't matter. So our goal is like, what do we do after you've purchased? So we have a huge post-purchase program. So we have a Facebook group. We do seminars. We have like tons. We have about 100 ebooks that we provide. So it's everyone's on a subscription program. We provide other values. So it isn't really about the supplement as much. It's about, okay, well, you become more productive with the supplement, but like, what are you going to do with that productivity? So I'm having like tons of people that are going to be joining our Facebook group that are going to be speakers and stuff like that. But it isn't really the tradition. I'm not doing the traditional approach of supplement companies at all, like where we're going to go retail or have a whole product line. That's not the point. Like the biggest thing that we're doing this month is we're launching a seminar on real estate investing. It has nothing to do with supplements, but that's what people want. And they're like, well, I'm productive. I'm an everyday person. I want to use my productivity to invest more money. How can I do it? And I give a seminar and I bring on other brokers that are in the space, and they'll speak to anyone that's on a subscription. There's no extra charge for it. It's just if you're buying Azoth, it's like $30 or $19, and then you get all that stuff for free, pretty much in it. So that's what we're more focused on. It's the product and then the other value that you're providing. But we're not doing anything traditional with like what the supplement companies are really doing. I honestly think there's so many cool supplement companies already doing it. So that we're not. I don't want to add anything else that's already being done. So.
And obviously you're doing a lot of cool stuff on the Facebook group with Supplement Snoop. I know you were doing a seminar the other day that it looks like you had a lot of good feedback or a lot of good turnout for.
Yeah, we're going to continue doing that. It's just like, what do we people want? Like, yeah, they want the application, but like, what more? Like, what is, because the people are coming into the supplements and they're like, I don't understand what it is. Like, what do I do? And so we're giving them the app, which is a tool. And then our goal is to really provide every resource possible so you don't need us. Like, that's the point, you know?
Yeah.
So anything we can do, it's like, how do you read a label? How do you start a supplement company? We're basically investing a ton of time into that. It's just a full out education and bringing knowledge to people, and that's really the goal. Is like, what are you doing to nurture your customers that you already have versus trying to consistently get new customers? It makes more business sense for people that are business savvy, but it also people, and the retention is really important. One thing with supplements that we pride on, like, no one's ever left a subscription ever. Our churn rate is 0, and there's a reason for that, and that's all the effort that Justin does on his stories every day, and that goes a long way.
And Justin, I know you keep talking about something big is coming. Are we close to that? And obviously, you still don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
Well, that's the thing, Prady and I think, like, whenever we sit down and we talk about what's our plans, they just grow and grow, and we're like, shit, wait, we gotta, it's technology, everything is slow. Everything takes longer in technology. There's always processes, but it's like, we've also sort of, I don't want to say like we change, but we pivot in small ways a lot, because I think, like Prady was saying, we've got a really great group of subscribers. They give a lot of feedback. So we didn't really, we had ideas about how this step was going to play out, but we needed to see it like in motion, like organically. And so now we have all this feedback, and it's like, okay, because we left ourselves sort of flexible, now we're morphing, we're doing this, we're changing this. We're like, okay, this is, because we just all went on based on what our ideas we thought people would want. And then it's now we get feedback from guys like you. It's like, well, this would really help me, because we're just so far sometimes. How do you put yourself in the mind of someone that just walked into GNC for the first time when I did it 25 years ago? So you listen to those people and you provide them. I compare it a lot too, is like, people that are looking for supplements are often looking for other improvements to their lives. They are very motivated. They just don't necessarily know where to start. They have that seed. They're like, I want to improve my life in some way. So we're like, okay, we can talk about ingredients, we can talk about supplements, but there's a lot more to it than that, right? And we have all these people with, Nick is endless amounts of knowledge about all these that I have no idea, that a lot of us don't. It's like, Sean, what you can bring to the table, what Prady brings to the table. It's like, why would we not just get everybody together and just help in any way possible? Why would we just stop at supplements? So I think in my head, I don't think I ever really envisioned it being the way it is now. But we're just sort of, in one way, riding the wave and just adjusting on the fly, while we also have bigger, phases in the business also. So long story short, there's plenty of things that will be happening. But yes, it's we'll get there.
So are you guys kind of at a 180 from what you started with, or are we just I'm gonna say off course, but I don't mean off course meaning, but for what you guys pictured, are you guys really about facing, or is it just detoured a little bit?
I'll let Prady take that one.
Yeah. I mean, so I came in about a year ago, and at that point it was a mobile platform, and Justin had started with some of the Instagram, and Justin had laid the foundations of pretty much everything. So when I came in, the goal was like, how can we do more? And so one of the things we did is we launched a subscription program, and then we launched a Facebook group, and so we created a community around the product. And I think that's something that we thought about, but it wasn't something that we really planned on, was the community that would form around the people that are using the platform, where we'd know all the users, and there's quite a few. I mean, not everyone ends up joining the Facebook group who actually purchases, and that's part of it, but some people do, but just the community around it, I think that's what's really, what's been a little bit different than I think we initially planned that would happen, because that's, we're putting out a mobile platform. It's like, and now everyone's communicating with each other. So the knowledge isn't only being shared from the app in one way, it's being shared, 2 ways. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think if any company right now should really invest in communities, I think that's where people would find the most value, because I think people are looking at software and technology, but they're not getting anything back. And communities are really where it's at. Facebook just announced that they're actually going to get a little bit. They're going to focus not as much on their posts and on their social media platform, like on everyday posts and status updates. What they're going to focus is on two things: Facebook events and Facebook groups. That's the only thing that's viable on Facebook anymore. So they're only going to focus on that. So they're going to let Instagram take over a lot more of the social media platform, and focus heavily on the groups and events, because they recognize that building a community around your products is really where people find a lot of value. And I think that's where, as that has happened over the last year in the tech space and generally, we've seen that at Supplement Snoop quite a bit. And that's, capitalizing on being able to provide value through Justin's stories that he does every day. And then the live, so it's first he started the stories, then the live started, then the Facebook group really took off. So actually what you're noticing is that the community is growing. It's a community platform more than just a one-way, software.
Speaking of Nick, you need to update your Facebook group. You haven't touched it since like November.
Which Facebook group?
For Rage.
I spend all my time in Supplement Snoop right now.
No, but you know what? I think that's actually something that's really cool is when, yes, it's like Prady and I, when we got together and we started this, and then, Nick, it's the same way. It's like we're all ultimately the same, right? You have a different supplement, you have a different company, but people are just after the same types of things, just fundamentally. And it's like all of a sudden we're running parallel with Azoth. Their Facebook group is like Supplement Snoop members, and they're there, and it's like similar, and then there's other because it's like it's what makes sense. Like that's what people really want. So it's like it's not that's my competition because they have a Facebook group and they're doing this, so we better do this. It's like, no, dude, it's like that's not the way it works. Like people just enjoy that stuff, and it helps them improve their lives, and just the reaction of people proves that what we're doing not only makes sense business-wise, but it makes sense on an ethics and a morality standpoint too.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, Justin, that although there's a lot of griping on Instagram and whatnot, there's still so much positivity. Like Prady, I was actually introduced to you by Ricky, the Subs guy, who's a good friend of mine.
Yep.
And then obviously, in turn, I think Justin might have met Ricky through me, or vice versa, or something along those lines. And then there's a gentleman, David Engel, who I don't know if Justin, I don't think Prady knows him, but he's a big stim head. So he loves Nick, he loves Mark. So it all just kind of integrates to each other. So for every couple of dicks on Instagram, there's so many great people. And obviously, I don't think I would have met any of you guys with Instagram, without Instagram. And Prady, behind the scenes, Nick, Justin, Mark, and then there's a guy named Eddie who does Muscle Players.
Yeah.
We probably share 100, 200 chats a day between us all. We may never meet each other, but I have the hell of a time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I know Eddie. He's really, I actually knew him for many years because he's a good dude. He reached out, and actually, Justin and I actually met him in person not too long ago, about a year ago, I think, almost a year ago. But yeah, dude, it's one of the I think the best things about being in this industry is like making you make it. I mean, it sounds cliche, man, and I never thought I would say this shit, but it's you meet a ton of good friends. Like you're actually friends with a lot of people, and I think at least 30% of the people that I talk to daily are from people that I've met through Supplement Snoop or through Azoth. And it's just like people that it's strange because you create camaraderie, but you've never met them, and that's like something I've only had unique to this space. I know when Justin came down to Boston, I have a buddy of mine and we run a podcast, and I was like, hey, Justin's come, but I've never met Justin in my life, but he's coming to do a podcast. And he was like, what do you mean you've never met him? I was like, well, we have a business together, we talk every day, but I've never met Justin. And he's like, I don't believe you, how is that possible? And I remember he does the first thing he asked Justin as well. I was like, is this really true? And it's really strange in a lot of ways, but it's really cool. It's like one of my favorite things about the sport. There is, I did just mention, hey, we should work more closely together, but one of the things I will say is that there's a lot of camaraderie with one another, and that's great. And you'll meet like people, and even at the top level, you have like the CEOs of companies, but it's kind of a small industry, so like not really. I mean, we have all the same friends and the same people. Someone might be a designer in one company that might know you, and then you help people out. So that's why I said it's so important that we do leverage each other's networks, because we're so closely tied together. Think about what we could do if we do that, because we're already close friends. Like I know the CEOs of other companies, even if I've never really met them, but I know someone who knows them really well. Like if it's easier to help and leverage each other's networks if your network is already so close to each other. It's going to help the industry out a lot. But yeah, man, it's one of the great things is the camaraderie, 100%.
Yeah. So Nick, I guess in winding down, anything else you want to get off your chest, Nick? Anything exciting? Anything coming up?
That shirt, get it off your chest.
Yeah, I got to get this thing off. This thing's constricting me a little bit. Nah, I think everything's good. I think we nobody to pick on right now.
I'd ask you to plug your website, but you don't have any inventory.
Damn.
Oh, I know. You just
had to do it.
Do you heat that knife up before you stick it in me, or like what do you do first?
Speaking of camaraderie,
you've stabbed me enough too with the nice little I'm a stem pussy joke, so it's okay.
That's true. That is true.
That is very true. That is very true. The only thing I did find really interesting. Court posted I think it was yesterday on his Instagram story, where the FSA, which is the Food and Safety Administration in the UK, we won't throw the name of the company out there, but their product was so bad that the United Kingdom government is seizing one product from one company. That's the kind of shit that gets us in trouble.
It is, and I remember his advice was he was like if you're in retail, he was like, get it the fuck off your shelf now. He's like, this is all of us that this affects. He's like, this is not worth you selling this to someone. He's like, do you guys understand what's happening right now? Like the government is like in on it. So get it out. It's like, get it out like right now. So it was actually a pretty cool message from Court. I thought he was like, we need to get together now, everyone on the same page, all retailers, and fix this, because if you don't, you're just asking and you're going to take us all down.
Yeah, it's the same thing where we deal with it with the SARMs here in America. They're dealing with it with one product. If you don't do stupid shit 24/7, the government won't get mad at us 24/7, and then we get to keep our toys. And we like to keep our toys. So,
sure.
I think that's about it. Yeah.
And Justin, for people that are first listening and seeing you for the first time, feel free to plug the website, the fee for the application.
Yeah, man. So like I said, Supplement Snoop is an app that will take all the guesswork and all the marketing out of understanding the ingredients that are within supplements. I always talk about the front of the labels don't matter. It's the back, right? So you can quickly scan, search for products, and it's going to give you a nice.
Say it.
There you go. He's got it. It's going to give you a nice, like, layman's terms explanation, simple, on what these ingredients do. Dosages that are available. We have reviews. You have all kinds of cool features that go on there. But then also, I always talk about it in this way. The app is sort of like your textbook. We send you the textbook for your subscription price, but then the Facebook group is like your classmates and your faculty, because you don't just take a textbook home and read it. You want to talk to people about it. You want to talk about your experiences and their experiences, and you want to talk to people that have studied it for a long time, that can explain it in different ways, and they're at different points on their learning curve and things like that. So adding the group with the informational thing has changed everything, and you will not find anything else like it. Like that, we can honestly say that there's nothing like what we've done out there anywhere. It's the only thing. So, it's up to Snoop.
Available on iPhone and Android.
Sir.
And the fee monthly?
$19.99.
And it's a bargain. It's a bargain and a half.
Yeah, for sure. Especially once you bring all the professionals that we have into the mix that could charge thousands of dollars for consulting, and that's the coolest thing. It ties into exactly what Prady said. Like, it's just super humbling and overwhelming for me at times to have people contact me and say, let me help you, and not, so I can plug my website or plug my, like, I just really love what you guys are doing, and I love seeing you help people, and I want to help people too. So where do I start? And I'm like, come on, man. And people have offered to do seminars for us. They're like, hey, do you guys mind? And we just encourage that. It's like, this is not Prady and I standing there going, here, we bestow all this information on you. It's like, no. We want everyone to just get involved and just help each other. And we want this thing to grow to levels that, even if I'm gone tomorrow, it'll just keep going and exploding. education fixes all this stuff. All this stuff we gripe about, education and communication fixes everything.
Yep. And Prady, for you, sir, please feel free to plug your website and anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself in closing.
So the Justin already plugged Supplement Snoop. That's really important. And then, you find out more about Azoth on getazoth.com. And you can go on our, I usually don't really like to plug the company as much as I like to plug our Instagram, because we have a buddy, my good friend Jesse, put some badass quotes, and we put in a lot of videos. And we don't really plug the product that much on Instagram. Is mostly like quotes and videos. But people can check it out. And if people are interested more in about success and motivation, they can find me on Instagram, Prady Tawari, and then they'll see a link to The Enlightened Millennial, which is my podcast. And I think a lot of people find a lot of value from it. So that's the thing all the things I'm passionate about.
Well, gents, I know I've been working on this for a little while, and someone was sick the other day, but I'm glad we're finally able to make this happen. I know a lot of people are going to enjoy this, and Prady, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully we can do this again.
100%, man. Love to come on, and we got to do this in person, man. Since you're in Massachusetts, so
I work in Woburn. I'd be happy to fly over to Boston one night on the way home.
Awesome, my friend. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, take care. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks.
sir.
Be well.